Hi guys, welcome back. It's Coeliac Teenager. Now today I'm going to be doing a video that I actually did as my first ever video on my YouTube channel, and that was my celiac journey. Now obviously I've been on YouTube now, I'm not actually sure how long, I think about 5 years. So my journey is obviously updated. So I thought I'm going to do an updated version, but I'm going to start from when I was first diagnosed as well. So I'm going to talk about my whole entire journey. So hope you guys enjoy and let's get started. So I have had celiac now for 11 years. I was diagnosed when I was 8 years old. So I was in the summer of being in year 4. I was just about to go into year 5 and I was actually moving to a new school because around here you used to go to primary school, then you used to go to a middle school, and then you'd go to secondary school. So I was about to go to a brand new school with completely different people, and I'd just been diagnosed with celiac at the age of 8. It was quite a lot, I have to say. So I basically had some symptoms before, obviously, I got diagnosed. I had tiredness. I used to be very, very active. I never used to really get very tired. So as soon as my parents realised, whoa, Kate's getting really tired suddenly, they were like, okay, that's not normal. I was getting really bloated, really bad stomach pains, and I was having diarrhea. And this was happening very regularly, because obviously I was having wheat, I was having gluten all the time. We decided to go to the doctor. Now, I already had 2 cousins at this point who had celiac. So we obviously told the doctor that, can you please try and get off gluten? And I was like, okay, we didn't really know about celiac. We didn't really know about gluten at that point. We didn't really know a lot. Like, our cousins had only just been diagnosed within a few years, and it wasn't really something we had really talked about with them because obviously none of us had it. So we tried it, and obviously it was really difficult because at that time there is literally nothing in the supermarkets. You guys have all been diagnosed recently are very lucky because we literally had nothing. You had to go to Holland Barrett and all those kind of places and spend so much money just to get like pasta, bread, anything. Yeah, it was a bit of a struggle. But yeah, so I was off gluten, and then my symptoms had all gone, and we were like, oh, okay. So then I got put in for a blood test, and that was positive. And then I had an endoscopy. It was a very interesting experience. At the age of 8, having an endoscopy is actually quite scary. I still actually remember the moment I had the endoscopy. I remember them counting down 3, 2, 1 and me falling asleep. And I remember waking up and obviously having quite a sore throat, because what it does is it checks the hairs in your stomach. It has like a camera down your throat. But yeah, so mine was basically the one it should be for if you have celiac. But yeah, the endoscopy was actually fine because I got put to sleep, because obviously I was a child. It's not actually that bad. So if you're having one done, which I've had, they don't do it as much these days. But if they are doing it, honestly, don't worry, because it's not actually that bad. But obviously I was young and I didn't know anyone that had it before. And it was just obviously a different experience when you're a child compared to when I would have if I had it now. So obviously I had that all fine. And they found out obviously I had celiac. So I then got allowed a prescription. Now obviously the rules have now changed a lot, but when it was 11 years ago, you used to get a lot more on prescription. You used to get bread, you used to get biscuits, like a lot of things, all for free, because obviously I was under 18. And it was really handy to have that because gluten-free back then was even more expensive than it is now. So I was trying all this new stuff. Obviously, at 8 years old, it's quite difficult to suddenly change a completely different diet and not be allowed literally anything you used to be allowed. It is very strange, but got through it. All is good. So it was in the summer. Obviously, I then started a new school. Now, obviously, I'm with completely new people, and I've just got diagnosed with celiac. It was quite a struggle at first. Obviously, I don't really remember it these days. Like, I don't actually remember because it was a long time ago. But I do remember it being quite difficult at first, because in the school, I also had to try and find out whether I could have hot dinners. Luckily, at the start, they actually provided me with gluten-free meals. So I had jacket potato. I even had like fish and veg, and they made it all separately and had it all under the counter ready for me to have. They kept this going for like a good couple of years. I was so happy that I could have hot dinners. And basically in the school I was at, if you had hot dinners, you sit in one section. If you had cold dinners, you sat on another section. But all my friends had hot dinners. So I really obviously wanted to have hot dinners. And obviously it was great that I could, and I could sit with all my friends. But tables turned actually, and don't still to this day know why they really did it, but they actually decided that it was obviously too expensive and a bit too much extra work, which it really wasn't. It was literally 3 people that had like other allergies, and they decided to take away being able to provide me with a separate gluten-free meal, which I thought was awful. And to this day, I still think it's ridiculous. My parents think it is as well, because it really isn't much more hassle, I don't think. So the only thing I was being able to eat was jacket potatoes, because that is what they provided for everybody. Like, obviously everyone got a choice. At first, I just had jacket potato every day because I wanted to sit with my friends. Then I got so sick of jacket potato, obviously, that I decided that I would have packed lunch, because I was just so sick of having jacket potato every day, even though I do love a jacket potato. But what I ended up doing was none of my friends had cold lunches, so I decided to be a sneaky child and try and eat my lunch with my friends in the hot dinner section. It worked quite a few times, have to say. What I used to do is I used to get a drink, so it looked like I was still eating there. It did work for a while, but then one day the dinner lady came up to me and said, "Why are you having your lunch here? You should be in the packed lunch section." So I got moved to the packed lunch section with some people I barely talked to, and I was so upset. I think it was I'm not sure what year, maybe it was year 6 or year 7, and I just started crying because I felt so upset that they wouldn't let me eat with my friends when they couldn't provide me with just a bit of gluten-free food every day. Obviously we paid for it, but yeah, I thought it was really upsetting, and I ended up deciding to just go back to having school dinners every day and having jacket potato because I wanted to sit with my friends. But I thought that rule was so ridiculous because it's so segregating people. And it also meant that I couldn't sit with my friends just because they couldn't provide me with gluten-free meal and I'd have to have jacket potato every day. But I went back to having jacket potato every day because I wanted to sit with my friends. So yeah, that was what happened in middle school. When I was younger, that I found difficult, maybe in that kind of time, was parties. Now, obviously, but at that time, if you had a party or if you even went to a restaurant, anything, there was nothing on the menu. I remember one party, I went to a Pizza Express party, and all they had was a chicken Caesar salad, which obviously they had to take out the breadcrumb things they add in. And that was the only thing on the menu that we could have, like as celiacs, which I thought was so bad. And my mum had to come in and say to the waiter and say to the people at the party that I couldn't have anything other than that. I couldn't have a pizza or anything, so make sure she doesn't get it, because obviously I was young and I'd probably just order a pizza without thinking about it. So yeah, and it was really sad sitting there having a salad when everyone else was having a pizza. But obviously I wanted to go to my friend's party, so this was always an issue I had. Some parties, what I did actually was my mum made me these really lovely boxes with some really nice of my favorite foods in, so like Jaffa cakes or, you know, like gluten-free ones, and like made me a really nice packed lunch, and it made me feel a lot better that I had something nice. But obviously you're going to feel a bit left out if everyone else is eating a pizza or whatever the meal is and you can't have it. I always found that quite difficult growing up, but I feel like these days it's not so bad. I think most places, if you go to a restaurant, you'll be able to get provided with gluten-free, and if you're going to someone's party, a lot of the time now parents and a lot of adults know what celiac is. Back then people didn't know what celiac was, so people had no idea about contamination, about what people could and couldn't eat. So I think these days it's a lot easier, but for a child, when celiac wasn't very well known, it was a very difficult time. There's definitely worse things in the world to have, but it was still quite difficult for a young child when, you know, you're just wanting to be with your friends and have fun, you know. But yeah, so that's what happened in that kind of time. In supermarkets, there was also literally no gluten-free. You had to go to health food stores to get anything. It was also expensive, so most of the time I used my prescription, which got me bread, biscuits, that kind of thing, pasta, all for free on the NHS, because prescriptions then you used to get loads. Nowadays, they've taken like half the amount for prescriptions. You literally can't get as much anymore. Even some places, you can't actually get a prescription at all. In Cornwall, you can't get one at all. I still can in my county, but it's a lot less than they used to give you, which is quite disappointing. But in a way, you can get loads of stuff in the supermarkets now compared to back then you couldn't get all that kind of stuff. So I kind of understand why they have changed it, but it's still a little bit unfair. So yeah, then I went into secondary school. Not much changed. I actually went to the hot dinners again, and they actually provided me this time with gluten-free again, which was great. And it was actually even better meals than the middle school. It was like really good. They did it under the counter again, and they did that the whole time that I was in secondary school. But they also allowed packed lunch and hot dinners to sit together. So some days I didn't really want a hot meal, so I just had a packed lunch, but I could sit with my friends, so all was good in that time. Definitely still parties were a bit of a struggle, because obviously I wanted to have what everyone else is having. But, you know, I kind of, throughout the years, have learned to just understand that that's just how it is. I can't change it. And it's not really that much of an issue. It's definitely harder when you're younger and you don't understand why you can't have something that someone else has got. I started secondary school and, yeah, everything was fine. I could have hot dinners, which was great. The parties were pretty much, you know, fine. I still had a lot of my own meals, but also a lot of parents that like my friends' parents, they started to understand what celiac was because I've been friends with them for a few years and I've been around to their house. My parents also explained it to them about the whole contamination, you know, where you can't have this next to this or cook this next to this, you know, all of that kind of thing. So it got a lot better for me, definitely. And then I started my YouTube channel. I can't remember when I did, but I think it was in year 8 or year 9. And I started it. The reason I have started this whole thing was because I had no kind of support when I was first diagnosed, and I wanted to be there to hopefully support and be there for people, young people, maybe older people, it really depends, that needed support and like help with their celiac or wanted some advice, because I wish I had that when I started. There was nothing. I even searched up on YouTube like celiac things and nothing came up for it. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to start a YouTube channel, and I've still been doing it ever since. Obviously I've had times where I haven't been very active, but that's because of GCSEs, my exams, and obviously I started a job this year. So obviously things have come in, but I absolutely love doing this. And also my Instagram, I'm very active on my Instagram. So if you're not following me, it's at Coeliac Teenager. But I absolutely love doing it. I just think it's really lovely community. I've made some really good friends actually from doing this. And I've also hopefully helped a lot of you guys with any problems you have. And hopefully you guys like the videos that I do. They're helpful or interesting. So yeah, I started it, and I've even been invited to a few events by brands, which is incredible. I've been sent some things from brands, which is so lovely. And obviously the allergy fair, I've been to like the bloggers meetups and met loads of the people behind the screens that are doing their Instagrams and their YouTube. And it's just been such a lovely community. In the recent years of my celiac, I genuinely, if I'm honest, I've had actually pretty much no issues. I've definitely had I've been ill. I definitely have been ill. Overall, I've really had like no issues. Everything's been good. Literally every restaurant I go into, every supermarket, most people know what celiac is, and there's celiac and gluten-free things that are provided. I've genuinely found no issues in recent years. The only thing I'd say is when you're over at someone's house that doesn't know what celiac is, and you just have to explain it to them, and most people understand, and you know, it's really, I've had no issues recent years. The only thing that's annoying, obviously I'm 19, is when they're playing beer pong and I can't join in because obviously beer's got wheat in. But that is like the only annoying thing that I would say that's happened. My symptoms are still the same. Don't get ill as much. I go to loads of different restaurants, and majority of the time virtually never get ill. There's definitely been the occasion, but it's bound to happen because there's always going to be some sort of contamination unless you go to an all gluten-free restaurant. But yeah, and I can always find some gluten-free, apart from, actually, that's just reminded me, airports. Now, I started traveling a bit on my own, well, with my friends in recent years, and every time I go to the airport, I can never find anything. If you're in the UK airports, I can usually find something. Like, I can't remember which one, but one of them has a Leon, which I'm so happy about. And I had Leon once. But when you're coming back, there's never anything. All you can literally get is a packet of crisps and some chocolate. But you know, when you want a proper meal, there's nothing, you just can't get anything, which does suck. And a lot of airlines don't have anything gluten-free. EasyJet has noodles, which is good, but it's not that filling, obviously. But I went on Jet2 and they had literally no gluten-free options. So I do think that's something that still needs to be worked on. But other than that, I think everything's pretty good. Personally, in my opinion, like, I have no issues. So yeah, my celiac journey ends here, really. I mean, obviously I've got celiac, but but I don't have any issues. And to be fair, in the last recent years, nothing's much has really changed other than the amount of gluten-free that there is now and how aware people are of what celiac is and other allergies. I think it's become a lot more aware in recent years, and I think it's great because people understand what celiac is and how they can provide food for people in a safe environment. So yeah, I think, yeah, that's it really. Let me know down below if you've had any struggles with celiac and if you need any help with anything. You can DM me on Instagram, you can comment down below. If you have any questions or anything, or any suggestions, or if you've got any opinions on the things that I've said, then please do let me know down below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you go and follow my Instagram at Coeliac Teenager, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Oh yeah, also make sure you're subscribed. Bye.